ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् निराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The story of Virochana and Indra, representing Asuras, the demons, and Suras, the gods, respectively, began in the 7th Khanda of this 8th chapter. We saw so far the 7th and the 8th Khandas. And in the 8th Khanda, it was shown that Virochana and Indra were both asked by Prajapati to look into water, look into their own reflection, their own image in water or in a mirror, and Prajapati hinted that you would know the pure self thereby. And Virochana commits a colossal blunder. Looking at his image, he thinks that, oh, is this the self? That is me. And surprisingly, in spite of 32 years of living in Brahmacharya at Prajapati's place, which both of them had done, Indra also more or less makes the same mistake. And both of them, rather satisfied with Prajapati's instruction, Shanta Hridaya, with peace in their heart, move towards their own homes. Virochana reaches his palace and says to all the Asuras, showing his own body, this is confirmed now as being the pure self. All of you are welcome to worship this, pointing to his own body. How foolish. We have said in the last class, we have no business to call him foolish, for we are equally foolish, if not more foolish, in many other ways. Now, Indra, as it becomes clearer in the 9th Khanda, which we are going to open, Indra also makes more or less the same mistake, but rather than taking his body to be the pure self, he mistakes the image to be the pure self. Chaya Sharira. He has a Sharira, and the image in water is Chaya Sharira. And he thinks, all right, there's something mystical about it. And though it is a bit hard to believe, if Prajapati has said it, it must be true. I must reflect a little more. But I got the answer. I'm now going back to Devaloka and tell everyone, look into the mirror, the image that you see is the pure self. But as he was going homeward, that's how the 9th section of this 8th chapter begins. And we will see that mantra also, but for now, quickly, we may say that Indra gets a doubt of a certain kind. He thinks, well, when we are well dressed, the image also looks very well dressed. When we have put perfume, we have put other cosmetics, and we look very good, the image also looks very good. And all that is hunky-dory story, as they say, going very well. Wow. But now he thinks on the way home, wait a minute, suppose I have an injury. My body has an injury. Body loses the eyes or one eye or an ear. or loses a limb, then will it not happen to that image also? And that is not good news. As long as you look into the mirror or into water, well dressed, in good shape, and so on, all is so well. But there is a big difference when we take the case of our being injured, wounded, handicapped, or even old. Once I tried to compliment a very old lady, 94 years old lady, saying, Amma, don't worry, this is your second childhood. Like little children, you also need people to attend to you, which is okay, you see. Children are beautiful. You are also wonderful. She smiled at me and said, Swamiji, it is very kind of you to say I'm going through a second childhood, meaning to pay compliments to me. But you see, a child needs attention 24 hours. I too need attention now, but the comparison stops there. A little child is the joy of the whole family. Even unknown visitors come and want to lift the child and move the child, express some loving comments, remarks, etc. Who would care for a 94-year-old woman or man? Moment some people see a very old lady or old man, they turn their face away. There's a big difference. I wish to go to Narayana as early as possible, she said. Then I said I will be more careful in future for giving compliments to old people, saying, celebrate your second childhood and so on. There's a big difference. So Indra contemplates. Therefore, we will now go to the opening or title slide of this class, where we say such thinking, such reflection, which takes the form of inquiry, can make a big difference. You and I go through experiences, you and I go through situations and scenarios, and there is a line which we have put in this title slide in Sanskrit. It runs like this: Nahamatra bhogyam pashyami. Several times Indra, as we shall see in the remaining mantras of this khanda, of this chapter. In this chapter, the story began in the 7th khanda. The story actually ends in the 12th khanda. Then there are 3 more khandas or sections which actually provide some wonderful mantras for us for japa and for contemplation, for reflecting. The story goes from 7th section to 12th section. In other words, in 6 sections. So in this story, in the remaining part thereof, we shall see Indra saying this repeatedly. Nahamatra bhogyam pashyami. And the simple translation goes like this: I see no good in this. Just a while ago, he was in a celebrative mood. I now know what the pure self is. This Chaya Sharira, this image, is the pure self. The other guy, Virochana, thought to himself, this body is the pure self. Therefore, the previous section ended with certain comments, especially from Adi Shankaracharya. Dehatma Bhava is no other than Asura Upanishad. If you were to coin a word, Asura Upanishad, the Upanishad of the demons, the great mystical teaching of deluded people. You know what it is? It is to firmly believe the body is the immortal pure self. Body needs to be adored, worshipped, satisfied, satiated, made happy in whatever way. Worship of body. and looking at it as the self, Dehatma Bhava. That is Asuropanishad. And Indra, not exactly body, but that Chaya Sharira, he takes that as the pure self, but within some time, Nahamatra Bhogyam Pashyami. The standard prose order would be Aham Atra Bhogyam Na Pashyami. I don't see anything really good in this. Looking at the image in water or mirror and considering it the pure self. So he is actually into self-inquiry. Who am I? What is my true nature? What is the pure self? That is what in the 20th century Sri Ramana Maharshi highlighted as self-inquiry. Body, senses, mind, pranas, intellect, all these I am not. By simply reading such a sentence or repeating such a sentence, nothing would happen. We need to inquire, question, drive to the wall. Every time a thought rises in us, suggesting that we are the body. Normally, when the mind suggests that we are the body, we give a red carpet welcome to that suggestion. We say, yeah, I am the body. When we feel sleepy, we say, how nice, heavenly it is to sleep now. When we feel hungry, people celebrate hunger. I'm hungry and that's so good and there's some good food here. I believe there is some mental disorder where a man or woman eats a lot and in order to enjoy eating, he or she vomits and somehow in a unnatural way creates hunger again in himself and then eats again, wanting to eat more and more. How terrible. But when we say looking at the body as the self, what is implied is a number of forms it takes. When you enjoy desire rather than feeling why is this desire arising in me. When you enjoy anger, some people enjoy anger. When they get angry, they feel, I'm on a high now. They feel good about it. When they feel jealous, when they feel greedy, when they feel many negative emotions, alas, in their spiritual ignorance, they look at all those emotions as a sign of life. If you don't desire, you are dead, they say to somebody who may not have desires. You don't want to watch movies, you don't want to eat ice cream, you don't want to go touring, you don't want to. What kind of life are you living? You are dead, or at least half dead. Look at me. I want to taste all the ice creams available in the town. I want to watch as many movies. I want to. They have a long list and they feel good about it. I tell you, that is all extension of Dehatma Bhava. Ramana Maharshi and many other great sages ask us to inquire. Is that really good for me to have desire? Every time I had desire before, on occasions I got my desire fulfilled. On other occasions, desires were not fulfilled. How I felt very low. Even when desires were fulfilled, how long did that happiness last? One inquires. And the summary of all this inquiry would be Nahamatra Bhogyam Pashyami. Feel like eating ice cream. At 1 a.m. you went to bathroom and on the way back to your bed, you suddenly remember, oh, there is a little ice cream in the refrigerator. Why not I eat that and then go and hit the bed? If we are very foolish, we would do that. If we are wise, We question ourselves. Eknath Ishwaran had said, train your senses. Train your senses. Give your senses a training in order to say no to mere pleasure pursuit. Ahamatra bhogyam pashyami. So, the first mantra actually gives in some detail. Indra reflects. Inquiry that way is reflection, is contemplation, is pondering, is going over what you had heard in a wonderful Vedanta lecture. You might not have heard it just the same day or one day before. Sometimes suddenly some reflection arises in you, remembering what you had heard maybe some years ago somewhere. It comes inside you, from inside you, saying, yeah, it's right. Was it not 2014 that such and such spiritual teacher said to me, and it did not mean much to me that time, but to me now it seems very significant. That is reflection. Wait a minute, let me see. Now I am able to see the truth of what that saint, what that spiritual teacher, lady or man had said. So you are in the Indra state of consciousness. The flame of inquiry has started burning, and the flame of inquiry burns all falsehood. Therefore, we named the little trust that we run, flame of who am I? When habitual thoughts hurriedly create one image of who we are, the flame of inquiry of the nature of asking who am I questions those notions. Questions those notions. In fact, our sorrow is due to habitual thoughts, habitual notions about who we are. The whole world, even those who are accomplished, who have achieved a lot, the whole world is suffering. Because those who have achieved also look at some other higher achievement and feel very inadequate. I got this award, but when will I get that higher award? A couple of my friends got the higher award and I'm nowhere compared with them, etc. So judging ourselves as bad, as failure, judging ourselves as unfit and so on, we go into sorrow. Atma Jnana is the great medicine whenever you get into some depression. Brush up your Vedanta study. Say to yourself, this mind is once more playing its dirty mischief. Go to the Indra state of mind. Inquire and say, Ahamatra bhogyam pashyam. In either the thought that creates a bad image of yourself as hopeless and useless and a failure and unpopular and nobody wants me these days, I am gone case, whatever. These are all negative images that the mind creates. Even when the mind creates positive images. Finally, I have arrived somewhere. Now everybody knows who I am. I have become somebody now. Aha, and so on. Question. Because the pure self has neither fall nor rise. The pure self is beyond that. So in this story, the ninth khanda is fascinating. Our dear Indra comes back. He doesn't go to Devaloka at all. He walks some distance. We don't know how many kilometers or miles he went. He just returns. And Prajapati says, calling him Maghavan, because Magavan, is the name of Indra. Bhagavan is God in general, but Bhagavan. And when you address him, Bhagavan. Bhagavan, so what has brought you back? Bhagavan, Shanta Hridayaha Pravraji, you went with such peace in your heart, it seemed. Virochanena Sardham. Sardham means together, along with Virochana. And Kimichan Punaragamaha. You have come back. Punaragamaha. Kimichan, for what have you come back? Indra says, you know, I thought I had found the answer, but this image of mine is wonderful. If I am well dressed, I am hale and hearty. But if I use certain words, he says, what if I become blind? The image also is blind. What if I become, there's a word used, srama. Srama, Shankaracharya says in his Bhashya, refers mainly to one eye. Then he himself says, the previous word was, if I become blind, the image also will look blind. Blindness, whether of two eyes or of one eye, is covered already. Therefore, let me give another meaning for the word srama, says Shankara Bhashya. Srama has some relation to srava, something oozing. So, srama could mean some kind of disease where no matter what you do, some fluid is oozing from your nose, some fluid is oozing out from your ears. That's the meaning, second meaning for srama that Shankaracharya gives. Indra says to Prajapati, when I have some illness, when some fluid is oozing from my nose, the image also has that problem. Therefore, how can I? There is another word, parivraknaha. Parivraknaha is somebody who one hand is cut, one leg is cut, that kind of handicap. And finally, when this body dies, the image also appears dead. Therefore, to take the image, just because it looked wonderful when we were well dressed and went with ornaments and so on, to take that image as the pure self, nahamatra bhogyam pashyami. And that's how the first two mantras go in the 9th section. And then the last mantra of the 9th section says, Prajapati appreciated this reflection on the part of Indra. Evameva esha magavan itiha uvacha. Etam tvevate bhuyaha anuvyakyasya. You are right. You are reflecting on things in the right way. Now is the right time. I will take you further on the path of inquiry. That's how the 9th Khanda ends with one more instruction from Prajapati. I will teach you more now. I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you saw a flaw in your own understanding, which was misunderstanding. Do one thing, stay 32 years more in the ashram, observing brahmacharya. When they came, they had done 32 years. Now Indra does another 32. We'll see that Indra will do another 32, totaling 96, and in the last lap, another 5. In all, Indra in this story spends 101 years. 32 into 3 plus 5. 101 years. At this point, let's see the second slide, which gives us the first mantra of the 9th section in full, all the words we see here. So, Atahendro aprapya eva devan etad bhayam dadarsha. Devan aprapya. He hasn't gone to Devas at all. Devan prapya would have meant having reached the Devas. But without having reached the Devas, that is gods, abhayam dadarsha. He saw something frightening. That is something very disturbing in his own understanding. Yathaiva kalu ayam asmin sharire sadhu alankrite. And this body is beautifully decorated or dressed up. The image also sadhu alankrito bhavati. Suvasane, when this body is well dressed, suvasanaha, that image also parishkrite, with some other stuff, you make it look good. But what about evameva ayam asmin andhe? Asmin andhe. When my eyes go blind, this body's eyes, andaha bhavati, that's not good. Same way, srame, sramaha bhavati, parivrakne, parivrakno bhavati, asyeva sharirasya nasham anu. If this body perishes, esha nashyati, this image also perishes. Ahamatra bhogam pashyami. I think there is a big bug in this. So he came back. Now we go to the next slide where we find Indra's very appropriate inquiry takes him to further reflection. The next slide actually indicates the material, the matter that Prajapati gives after 32 years, a total of 64. After another 32 years, after Virochana went away, Indra approaches Prajapati. And these little pieces, in a way, are very simple, but they are so profound. Stop thinking about this body and the image of this body in water. Can you pay attention to how you see yourself in dream? So the mantra goes, Ya esha swapne mahiyamanaha charati esha atma iti hovacha. In dream, you find yourself maybe sailing on a boat. You see yourself traveling abroad. You are at Paris, watching Eiffel Tower, and you are hale and hearty. You had a wonderful breakfast, then you go sightseeing, and you have already thought about a nice restaurant where you will have your lunch. You and your family members are all in good shape. In dream, in your dream. Swapne mahiyamanaha charati. And Prajapati is an excellent teacher. Unless the student becomes receptive, the teacher doesn't believe in giving him too high a pointer. Let me give him something and see whether he can digest it. So referring to Swapna Purusha, that is how you and I may see ourselves in dream. Prajapati says, Yesha Atma. And further confirms, Etad Amritam Abhayam. This is the seat of fearlessness. This is immortal. Etad Brahma. Indra was really fascinated. Oh, I missed this. I should have myself thought about that dream figure. So true. I might be sleeping on a bed with wounds on my body. My hand has a few cuts, my leg has few injuries. Maybe I met with an accident and I'm hospitalized. Lot of bandage everywhere. But isn't it true? Even with that condition, in my dream, I might find myself having a good time. I may be preparing for running a race in some sports event in my town. No problem at all. So, Indra accepts for a moment. That's written in this first mantra of the 10th khanda. Sa Shanta Hridayaha Pravabraja. It is interesting. Sometimes these stories look oversimplified. but maybe it was a style. Maybe it was a style of narrating story. He just goes. You and I might imagine this time he might sit down and do inquiry, sitting over there only in the palace of Prajapati. No, again he walks back. Shanta Hridaya Prabhavraja. Again, Saha Devan Aprapya. Much before he went back to the heaven where gods were waiting, Etad Bhayam Dadarsha. He saw something disturbing. Tad Yadyapi, this statement that the dream figure is the pure self, Yadyapi, even though Idam Shariram, Andham Bhavati Anandaha. That is, Yadyapi Idam Shariram Andham Bhavati. I gave the example of somebody who had met with an accident and lying on a bed in a hospital. Or take this example, the physical body that you use in waking state is blind. But in your dream, you could be Ananda, not blind. The physical body used in waking state could be Sramam, having fluids oozing out of the nose or ears, etc. But the dream personality could be Asrama. So the first part of Indra's reflection is, yeah, so true. Na eva eshaha asya doshena dushyati. No matter how bad the physical body of the waking state could be, the dream body could be untouched. Na dushyati. It doesn't get affected by what happens. You can extend it. In waking state, you might not be having minimum balance in your bank account. But you go to dream. In dream, the bank manager calls you. Madam, somebody has deposited 20 lakhs of rupees in your account. Just wanted to let you know. Say, really? And you rush towards the bank. And only one question is in your mind. How much do I draw today and how much do I draw later? Dream, in the dream. In the waking state, you are a pauper. In dream, you are a rich man now. 20 lakhs deposited in your account. So, the problems of waking state do not affect the dream personality. Asya doshena sa swapne mahiyamanaha na dushyati. But then Indra carries on his inquiry. Wait a minute, let me think again. Maybe on the way back to Swargaloka, he takes a break. He sits on a stone. He sits below a tree and thinks, I don't want to go. And then, so in the next slide, we find the second slide or second mantra in the 10th section. 8th chapter, 10th section, second mantra. Navadhena asya hanyate. Even if the waking state is hit by a sword, killed even, the belief here is the mind continues with the dream. Suppose somebody is killed, our philosophy has always said, even if the body is, including the brain, is damaged, the mind has independent existence. And the mind is seeing the dream in ordinary setting. An ordinary setting, which is actually an adhyaropa, a deliberate superimposition, done at some places. Even Adi Shankara at some places supports that view as though the mind of the waking body, mind of the waking state itself sees the dream. But on a higher level, the mind of the waking state is different, the mind of the dream state is different, and the mind of deep sleep, there is no mind. No mind, no time, no space, no cause, no effect. In slang English, no nothing in deep sleep. Anyway, Indra speaks or thinks in himself, more in the Adhyaropa frame of reference. It's so good, the dream body is not affected, even the waking body is killed. Na asya samyena srama, all the power. But starting with the word gnanti. Gnanti is the plural of hanti. Hanti gnataha gnanti. So gnanti means in the dream, nothing prevents somebody to come after us and stab us with a knife. Gnanti tu eva enam. Enemies could come behind and kill this person in the dream. Dream personality is not given all immunity. Vichhadayanti eva. Enemies could chase the dream person. The dream person, to extend the example I constructed, this man is going to the bank to draw probably half of the 20 lakhs right away, if possible, enjoying happily. Then he hears some sound, he looks behind, some of his worst enemies are coming with a knife in hand. And he runs. Vichhadayanti means chasing. Apriyavetta iva bhavati. In dream, is it all happiness only? Many a time in dream, we suffer more than how much we do in waking. Apriya Veta. We become the knowers or the experience of a lot of unpleasant things. And sometimes in dream, we cry, we weep, Doditi Iva. And then comes the wonderful conclusion. Nahamatra bhogyam pashyami. I don't want to take my true nature, which is said to be Amritam, Abhayam, Brahma. I don't want to take my pure self to be this dream personality. It has its own problems. That's how I don't see anything good in investing in the dream personality. And now, in the last mantra, I guess there is one more mantra. One more slide or no more slide? I think this is the last one. Yeah. So what we have seen is pretty much a simple matter. It is progressive inquiry. I must say, really in our life teaches us. Unless life gives us hard knocks, unless life teaches us lessons, we don't so easily come out of our delusions, running after sense pleasure, running after wealth, running after wanting to become somebody rather than running after some idea of being more accomplished than this other man or that other woman. All these are bhranti, delusion. To a great extent, events in life teach us. But if we study Vedanta, if we meditate daily, if here and there, when a certain insight rises in us, we suspend everything else and stay with that insight, strengthen that insight, go deeper into self-awareness. Then, as Indra progressed, we too will progress. We too will see that a whole lot of our attachments fall by the side. Otherwise, our mind tends to be so impure. You and I feel saddened by all the dirty tricks that our mind plays. Someone said very rightly, if your problem is an impure mind, there is a solution. What is the solution? Constant or frequent contemplation on the higher truth. That is the medicine. Take the medicine. Take the medicine regularly. Don't make your Vedanta study some kind of superficial affair. Let it not be mechanical. Reflect on Vedanta teachings, especially when you get a little insight, follow it. Because 24 hours no one can be in a contemplative mood. When you are in a contemplative mood, get on it. Rise, go high, stay for a little while. I remember someone wrote long back how he reads Bhagavad Gita. He says, I do have some rules, one chapter every day or something like that, but I don't really stick to that rule. I begin, sometimes I may read 5 verses, 10 verses, 20 verses. Let's say a certain chapter has 27 shlokas. This guy would go up to 20th. And then 21st verse suddenly makes a lot of sense to him. Wow, this is so nice. He says, I don't go further. That day I stay with that 21st verse. It doesn't have to be 21st verse. Another student of mine once said, Swamiji, after you said that in your lecture, next day I sat and I was that day going to read the 6th chapter, Gita. So, the 6th chapter, very first shloka she read. She was going to read some 47 shlokas or so, which are there in the 6th chapter. That was the plan. Let me read the chapter 6, all the verses. But she read the first verse. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha tasanyasi cha yogi cha niragmirna chakriyaha. Actually, not even the full verse. When she read that first quarter, Anashrita karma phalam, something happened to her. She felt so deeply touched. She closed the Gita book. She just sat quietly for 10 minutes. Anashrita karma phalam. If I stop depending upon karma phala, whether people praise me or do not, appreciate me or not, they do things for me or not, that is all karma phala. Whether in the years gone by people were good to me or bad, whether in the years to come, years left in my life, people will be kind to me or not. I don't know how many years I live, but in the years that are left, whatever they may be, will I become famous? Will I become rich? Will I even spiritually be regarded as highly advanced by everybody else? The stupid mind always worries about what we get, where we arrive, where we reach, at what height we will be sitting. That is philosophy. So my student said, in her own words, I am expressing in my words. He said, Swamiji, Anashrita karma phalam meant so much to me. I did not read any more verse of that chapter in this morning sitting. I just stayed, Anashrita. Not to be a slave to what this world can give me, what this world gave me, what this world may give me in future. I don't depend on it. My happiness will not depend on any Tom, Dick or Harry here onwards. Let people who were with me for 30 years leave me if they want. God bless them. Or let new people come to me. God bless them. We don't know. Phala. Phala means what comes to us, what came to us, what will come to us. Anashrita, not depending on that. At the most you smile. You get more new supporters, you smile. Nice. We don't know, next morning they may leave you. So, like that, Indra stands for certain contemplative exercise. And one last time, let me tell you, don't worry if you are unable to do that anytime and all the time. But when you are able to do it, you got a chance, you got some kind of mood, drop everything else and do it, even if it is for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of contemplation. That will purify your mind. Now that's how I began. Is your problem an impure mind? Problem of having an impure mind can be solved by periodic contemplation on higher truths. Own them, make those insights your own insights. Then you find impurities take a back seat and then they will go at their own time. Don't be in a hurry. But you take the medicine. This is how Vedanta study is helpful. Namah Paramarashibhyo, Namah Paramarashibhyaha. 10 we did. Next class we will do 11 and 12. That's where the story concludes. And in the 13th Khanda, there is a wonderful verse for meditation. Shankaracharya says for japa. Yeah, you may do japa also. Do japa or do meditation, do contemplation on that. There is a nice illustration also of how a horse shakes its body and gets rid of dust or some dirt on the body, cleans itself up by merely shaking the body. Similarly, you and I, as the 13th Khanda would give, Shama Chabalam Prapadye, that's how it begins. A single mantra, but very powerful. So there the horse also is mentioned. When you study Vedanta, you don't have to physically shake, but something like that happens. You will be able to shake off negativities, shake off low self-esteem, shake off notions, false notions of you haven't reached anywhere, you may not get liberated in this life, blah, 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 blah. All that is nonsense. Liberation is not something where you need to arrive. You are free and you got to see it. You are Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta. That's what Vedanta says. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shivaya.